Welcome back. Well, today we are interrupting our regularly scheduled programming to deal with the very timely problem presented by the coronavirus or COVID-19. There is a great deal of hysteria and misinformation surrounding this situation, and when we come back, we are going to work on teasing the facts out of the craziness. So I'll see you in a minute. All right, let's start with what is the coronavirus or COVID-19. And that's just, COVID-19 is just coronavirus 2019. That's just a little condensing. Let's start with it's a zoonotic disease. And that's our word for today. Zoonotic means, when you first hear the word, it doesn't immediately tell you what it is. But if you see the word, I'm going to put it here, see the word, you can get it right away. The roots are zoo, collection of animals, and gnosis, disease. So zoonosis is an animal-borne disease that leaps into the human population. Diseases like this, anthrax, there's a bird disease called psittacosis that people who work with birds are often exposed to, and sometimes they come down with it. It's certainly not unheard of, but this is not the common method of diseases hitting our population. Initially, the disease was detected in the Hunan province of China among people who worked in the seafood industry. I don't know if that means the disease originally comes from fish. If it does, that would be rather strange. But then again, a disease coming from birds is rather strange. We're more used to things like anthrax, mammal-to-mammal zoonotic illnesses. So that's what it is. Zoonotic, zoonosis, words for the day. Knock yourself out, Greg. Let's see what you can do with that. How worried should we be? Now, if you watch the news and see the school closings and businesses shutting down, and in some cases we're looking at state and municipal offices closing down, you would think that, oh my God, the plague has hit us. So how bad is it really? Well, let's start with the facts. If you are a young, healthy person, your risk is very low. For starters, it's not fully present in all parts of the country. It's going to hit cities faster than it hits rural areas. We know all this. So who is at risk? Well, 80% of the cases are like cases of flu. They're very mild. The symptoms are muscle ache, fatigue, dry cough, fever. Flu symptoms, lasting for a couple of days, recovery. Now, when I say 80%, that's 80% of the people who present to the healthcare workers with this illness. That number could be vastly greater because it is assumed a great many more people actually have contracted the virus but haven't sought medical attention. They just thought, oh, it's the flu. I'll wait it out for a couple of days and I'll be all better. So keep that in mind. About 15% will have more serious symptoms. These will involve upper respiratory problems and just more severe flu symptoms. About 5% will have things like sepsis and organ involvement And that's very serious. That's the critical population. So who are the people at risk? In general, older people, people with respiratory conditions, people with heart conditions, people with diabetes. In other words, if you are elderly and in poor health, your risk is much greater than that of a young, fit person. Stands to reason. So, what happens if you get it? Well, even if you are among the population over 80, which is the population at greatest risk, your chance of recovery is 90%. So, how worried should you be? You keep that in mind. If you are 80 and in poor health, you've still got a 90% chance of recovery. The numbers at present, in terms of fatality, are at about 1%. So, and numbers have been bandied about the media of, 3.4, 4 point something. No. The fact is that those numbers are inflated. And as time goes by, we're probably going to see that 1% cut back. Because remember, there is a huge undiagnosed population out there that has the coronavirus and think that they just have the flu. So, having said this, hopefully this will put your mind at ease. You are very unlikely to die from this. Even if you get it, the odds are drastically in your favor for surviving, unless you are in the high-risk group. And even then, high risk still got a 90% chance of full recovery. So, I am concerned, of course, because the media is just having a field day with this, as they do. It's the media. This is like clickbait, a clickbait dream come true. Coronavirus, and people are tuning in. Do we need to? Probably not. So what are your impacts likely to be? Well, Jocelyn's kids' school is closed for the next 2 weeks. Her impact is 2 kids who are not going to be in school all day, and consequently, she's going to have to make arrangements to deal with these children so that she can continue to work. And by the way, she is continuing to work. Furthermore, I've made the commitment to do it right along with her. We're putting our money where our mouths are. We're not scared. We don't want you to be. If you are in a vulnerable population, take precautions. Otherwise, it's like a bad flu going around. We just need to employ common sense, remain calm, remain rational. In all likelihood, your biggest impact is going to be your workplace or the places that you shop. Your ordinary business life is likely to be impacted because places will close. As I said, Jocelyn's kids are going to be out of school for 2 weeks, but I do want to assure you her situation is good. She has her parents. She has contacted her former daycare provider, who has agreed to step in and take the kids if need be. And, she has Drew at home, so, the kids will be taken care of. For me, the biggest impact is very likely to be that my transportation will be canceled. And that's because I use the county paratransit system. That transit system deals with people who are disabled and elderly. As a consequence, because they are dealing with that vulnerable population, they may end up shutting down. They haven't yet. But if they do, my biggest problem is I'm going to be stuck in the house or I will be stuck within my walking radius. So I'm not going to be able to go shopping or whatever. But as I say, if Jocelyn is going out, I've told her if they shut down my transportation, I'll go with her. Those are the impacts. Now, of course, I am concerned because Jocelyn's able to cope with her kids being out of school for 2 weeks. She has a lot of resources. A lot of people don't. I don't know what people, at least in our community where they are closing down the schools, I don't know what working parents are going to be doing, because taking 2 weeks off work to take care of your children is going to have a massive financial impact on families. 2 weeks off work, that could represent a loss of 5 or 10% of your gross annual income. Wow, that could represent a hardship for a lot of families. So that's why I'm angry about the hysteria. We need to keep in mind that it's an election year and the politicians are already jumping all over this. The media, of course, the media jumps all over everything. I hope you all remember a few years ago seeing those films of flooding, and the newscaster is out in the canoe and paddling, saying we have to paddle our way down the street, and then the camera pulls back and you see their canoe is in 6 inches of water. The media, well, this wouldn't be the first time they inflated the danger because it's good for their ratings. If you are in that category of vulnerable, in other words, if you're over 80, if you have a heart condition, if you have a respiratory condition, if you have diabetes, you would be wise to limit your activities out in the community. I'm not saying anybody should go crawl under their bed. I'm not going to, and I'm not going to get involved in fear-mongering. That's just not helpful. But if you can limit your activities, you should. That's in everyone's best interests. But by and large, don't give in to the hysteria. If you start to look at the real information, and you can find it out there, you will see that this is not it's like Chicken Little screaming, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. I went into the grocery store this morning because I was getting a little low on toilet paper. Nothing to do with coronavirus. Just, I like more than 3 rolls because I am female. If I were male, it probably wouldn't worry me so much. But ladies, you know what I mean. We want the toilet paper. And the shelves were cleaned out. I couldn't even get my favorite brand. I ended up getting some off-brand of toilet paper. So far, that's been my biggest impact. But it does tell you people are panicking. People are cleaning the shelves out in stores. It is becoming an issue. So my best advice to all of you is remain calm. This is not the end of the world, not even close. Consider this the same way you would consider any major flu epidemic. Unfortunately, we don't have flu shots yet. However, they are actively working on vaccines, and they are even testing in animal populations. The projection right now is there should be working vaccines, hopefully, by the end of April. That would be great. So it's not as if it's being ignored, but you cannot help yourself or anyone else if you become wildly hysterical and run off to Walmart and grab all the milk, bread, and toilet paper you can and shove into your cart. It's not going to be that bad. It is my expectation that most stores are going to do their best to remain open. No one wants to shut down the entire society over this. So remain calm. Don't let this worry you. If you have children who are ejected from school because the schools are closing, yeah, you've got a problem. And that's one I don't have an answer for. That's the point at which you just start calling grandma and grandpa, because I don't know how young families are going to cope with this. I think they're going to be very hard hit. And it's unfortunate because I really don't think it's that necessary. Remain calm. Don't feed the hysteria, and don't buy into the hysteria. As I said, Jocelyn and I are continuing to work. We're putting our money where our mouth is. Where our mouths are. I did that twice. Jeez. We are not going to stay at home. And part of the reason is because we know that a lot of you look to us to your morning entertainment, and I'm asking those of you who are in the high-risk group to stay home. I'm not going to ask you to do it and say, stay home, but we're not going to give you anything to watch. We're going to give you something to watch. We'll give you something to do while you're at home. Our commitment is to our viewers. And at this point, we see no reason to break that commitment. We think many of the thrift stores will be closing, but we also know from talking to people at antique malls that most of them are going to stay open as long as they can. In other words, they will stay open until local government tells them they must close. And that's because they don't feel they are high traffic areas. They don't feel that people in their customers are high risk populations. They're going to stay open. We will find places to go shopping. We will find stuff to buy. We are committed to continuing the video production. I am here on Sue Me. Jocelyn is over on Crazy Lamp Lady. We will do this. We are not panicking. We do not want you to panic either. Now, I hope this has been helpful. If you want to talk about the impact this is having on your lives, the comment section is open to you, because this is about coronavirus. So that's our subject. Feel free, but please don't let people frighten you just because they want votes in an election year, or they want to sell more newspapers, or they want higher ratings for their television shows. Ultimately, oh my goodness, it's the kind of thing that makes me keep my fingers crossed and say, oh, is there a hell? Because panicking people for gain like that is so, so wrong. But frankly, it's a fact of life. The media is hysterical, and it's in their best interest to keep us fearful, because if we are fearful, we are going to be sitting on the edge of our chairs in front of our televisions. I don't have a television, by the way. Might be why I'm not scared. And we're going to be looking for the next bit of news, and that's in their best interests. Is it in our best interest? No, of course not. The fact is that the additional stress from fear over coronavirus can take otherwise healthy people, raise their blood pressure, and suddenly throw them into a high-risk group. Now, I hope that doesn't happen. We want all of you to stay safe. By the way, the best way you can stay safe is wash your hands a lot. Oh, and if you wash your hands a lot, be sure to use lotion afterward. The fact is that overwashing your hands can produce a condition called dishydrosis. And you get little blistery, itchy bumps on your fingers. We don't want that. Lotion will take care of that. That's straight from my dermatologist. So let me see if there's anything else on my list I need to cover. No, that's about it. If you do feel you have coronavirus, if you start developing symptoms and and you feel you need medical attention, get it quickly. There are hospitals, there are urgent care centers, doctors. Make the phone call. Get out there. Don't take chances. I'm telling you not to panic, but I'm definitely not telling you to ignore your health. So please stay safe, stay well, but let's keep all of this in perspective. This is not the first flu outbreak we've ever suffered through. We will get through this. We just need to keep our heads and not worsen our situation by panicking, making ourselves sick from stress. Because remember, you make yourself sick from stress, you're more likely to get coronavirus. So be safe, and I will see you tomorrow, because I am going to be here tomorrow. I am going to be here Monday. I am going to be here next Saturday, and I want you all here with me. All right. Have a great evening. I will see you tomorrow.